Ciao, I'm Mary Ann Esposito. Today on Ciao Italia, pasta alla Chittara. Ciao, I'm Mary Ann Esposito. Welcome to Italy, and let's cook real Italian. Aren't they gorgeous? Swiss chard. I knew you said that. I'm in heaven. Think about how healthy this is. That's for you. Sundae sauce. All 20 regions of Italy are fabulous. And every time I do this, I think of my Nonna Galasso because she always made it this way. You want a Goldilocks dough, just right. Who doesn't like basil, especially in the summer? Obviously, you have to have pesto sauce at some point, right? I mean, I'm a cook. Why can't I try it? You're the best.
No, you're the best.
So, how do we make spaghetti alla Chittara? Well, we start with the Fontana. Now, you can do this in a food processor if you want to, but this is the old classic way of doing it. So we have here some durum semolina flour. It's a finer grind of regular semolina. And we're going to add a pinch of salt. So a little pinch of salt, not much. And then we want eggs. So 4 eggs. Now, originally, of course, when they made pasta in many regions of Italy, they never had the luxury of using eggs, so they used water instead of eggs. But then as time went on, of course, and things got better economically, eggs were added. So that's the difference between fresh pasta and dried pasta. Dried pasta is just semolina flour, salt, and water, whereas fresh pasta, what we're making today, is flour, eggs, and a little bit of salt. So we want to break up the eggs in the center of the Fontana. Do not worry. If this breaks and the eggs start going everywhere, not to worry. I've done that so many times. All you really have to do is catch it with a lot of the flour. But to be on the safe side, and when you do this for the first time, you want to start bringing in the flour from the inside of the wall, you see? Just until the eggs are going to stay put and not go anywhere. Then you can put your fork down and you can get into this with your hands. So I'm just going to bring as much flour as I need into the center, and you can see this is just getting thicker as we go along. And I've watched so many women in Italy make pasta that they're way beyond me. They're like lightning when they do this. And unfortunately, this is the type of artisan food that making by hand is quick disappearing. So it's always nice to get back in tune with traditional things. So once it's like that, then you can put your fork down and you can start bringing in some of this outside flour. I may not use all of this. Just depends on the size of the eggs that you started with, how you measured the flour, and what you do with it with your hands. So how will you know that you have the right amount of flour to eggs? Well, when you have a ball of dough that just kind of holds together nicely, isn't too soft or too thick, well, then you know that you have enough flour, because you don't want to make the dough too tough. So now I'm starting to think, well, you know, I don't really need all this flour, so I'm going to push some of it off to the side. So, just going to use my bench knife to move the flour over to one edge. And you notice I'm working on a wood board. That is the best thing to use when you're making pasta. Doing this on stainless steel counter would not work because wood has grab, and you want to be able to move that dough around and knead it so that you have control. If you were on stainless steel, this would all be slipping around and you'd be swearing, and we don't want that. So I add flour, the remaining flour, a little bit at a time, just until I know I have enough in that dough. And then we have to do something. We have to allow this dough to relax for about 30 minutes or so, just to get that gluten relaxed so that we're able to roll this out without it kind of fighting us. So once you have your dough ready like this, and it's looking good, and I'm not going to add any more flour, then you want to put it under a bowl and allow it to just sit there for 30 minutes. Okay, it's looking nice and even. You put it under a bowl and you sit around, have a glass of wine. When you're ready, you'll have a ball of dough that looks like this. See the difference in color between the two? Much lighter. This has gotten darker. And I know that dough is ready because those holes have not closed up. So now we're ready to roll. Oh, solo mio. Well, I can't play a guitar, but this is a guitar. It's called spaghetti alla chittara because the pasta is cut on an instrument like this called a chittara, or a guitar. And the reason it's called that is because when you roll your rolling pin over it, it makes a sound like a guitar. Now this one, not so much, because this belonged to my grandmother Saporito, who didn't come from Abruzzo at all. But she was given this by a man who made it by hand, who did come from Abruzzo. And so when he gave it to her, obviously she was going to use it. So she was Sicilian. But this is her guitar, and I've used it many times, but now it's gotten kind of old. And you know, she's right here with me. Okay, so you know what that is. So we're going to put that aside. So what we want to do is cut this up in small pieces. And before I forget, you know that leftover flour that I had? It's got little chunks of dough in it. You can reuse this for flouring your board. All I really do is put it in a sieve, see, just like that. And then I tap it out so I can have flour on my board and I haven't wasted a lot of this. So I'm going to put that aside. Okay, so here's our first piece of dough. And we want to flatten that down some. So get out a rolling pin and just flatten it. So you're going to because you're going to put it through pasta machine. Now you don't want a dough that's too wet and you don't want a dough that's too dry. You want a Goldilocks dough, just right. So, and this dough is just right. It's not too dry, but it's not too wet, and it's perfect. Okay, so now we have our pasta machine. Here it is. And I have a little motor here that takes the place of the hand crank, kind of makes it easier. And then on the side of your pasta machine, you have a knob that has numbers on it in increments of 1 to 7 or 8. It just depends on what pasta machine you get. And as you go up in increments, the rollers tighten. And as you put the dough through, of course, it's going to make the dough longer and longer. So we're going to start on 2. And we want to thin the dough down enough so that it is the consistency of what you would have if you were cooking spaghetti. So I know this is too thick, so I've gone from 2 to 4. Still too thick, so I'm going to go to 6. And if you find that the dough is sticking, your dough is sticking as you do this, you want to add just a little flour. Now this is feeling much better. This is a 6. I'm going to go to 7. And you see what's happening to the dough as we go along. It's getting longer and longer. So now I'm going to go to 7. And I believe that will be my last one. And that's feeling just right. You see, I can see the image of my hand right behind it. That's perfect. And the dough is nice, and supple, beautiful, and long. Okay. Now we want to set that aside, and of course this is much too long to put on the chittara. So here's a new chittara. See, it makes a much better sound. And it has two widths. Here you have your spaghetti width on this side, and if you turn it over, you have your fettuccine cut. Okay, I'm gonna have to make a song. All right, so what we have to do is cut this. And now we don't want to go over the edges. You're going to be rolling over this, so you want to cut it so that it's not going to do that. So I start with a small piece, like this. Let me turn this over to the right side. Oh, this is the right side, sorry. And you put it right on the chittara, like that. Now let me just move this over. I'm going to cut a few more pieces of this so that I can handle it a lot easier otherwise I'll have to drape it over the sink, and I don't want to do that. So cut them about the same lengths. Okay, and I'm going to put this aside. All right, so now I can move these over and bring over the chittara. So I'm working on a towel here so that the chittara does not slip on me, okay? Move this out of the way. And you get a rolling pin and you roll back and forth. And then there's a little slot there on the side. You dump. And that gives you, look at this, beautiful looking spaghetti piece right there, center. And then almost with a back and forth motion. And there you have it. It's almost square cut in its shape. See, then you put it on towels. You let it sit there until you're ready to cook. Then you add it to that wonderful lamb ragu. You have pasta alla chittara Abruzzese. So I have some extra virgin olive oil in a pot here, heating up. And here we have a pound of ground lamb. So I'm going to put that in. And get this browning. Let me turn down the heat a little bit. So I have to add some other things to this, because a ragu, as you probably all know already, is a long-simmered sauce. So a sauce like this is going to take about 35 to 45 minutes. So you want to brown the lamb, and while that's browning, you want to dice up some peppers, and you want to have some garlic. But first, let me tell you where this recipe is from, if I may. Right here, we are going to Abruzzi, sometimes called Abruzzo. It's written both ways, Abruzzi, Abruzzo. And it's a really mountainous area, and when I think about it, I think about the national parks there, the Gran Sasso, with the beautiful mountains and the green plains and the confetti, but I'll tell you about that later. So here is our lamb. We're going to let that go now while I get the peppers ready. So here you want to use just sweet bell peppers, because they use a lot of peppers in the Abruzzi region. So just cut up a pepper. You need two, actually, 2 or 3 large ones. And I use this neat little tool. See this little tool here? It just scrapes out that little vein right in the center. See? Makes it real easy. This is something that my friend Terry Murray made for me in artisanpastatools.com. So then you just want to take those peppers and you want to just dice them up, because this is going to be part of our ragu sauce. This is going to flavor the sauce. And the last time I was in Abruzzo, oh gosh, was several years ago, and I was in the town of Sulmona. And this is a really great town because it's where the confetti comes from that I mentioned to you earlier. And by confetti, I mean the almonds. You know those beautiful almonds that you often see at weddings? The green and white ones that are traditional for weddings on wedding cakes, and also you give them as a favor to the guests at the wedding. Well, those almonds come from Sulmona. That's where that whole idea comes from. And if you go to the town of Sulmona, you'll walk down the street and you'll see all of these beautiful stores selling these almonds in bouquets. They look like flowers. So as you're walking along the sidewalk, along the street, all these beautiful colors, orange, greens, yellows, deep blues. They do such interesting things with the almonds in making them into arrangements, and they're just delicious. What can I say? And they were on my wedding cake. I remember that. Okay, so there is the pepper. And then we need some garlic. Let me see how we're doing here. Turn this over a little bit because we really want that to brown well. I'm going to give this a little bit of salt and pepper now. So a grinding of pepper. Did you say you don't like lamb? Well, you could make this with ground beef if you wanted to, but then it would not be traditional, because in Abruzzo, spaghetti alla chittara is always served with a lamb ragu. So let's put these peppers in. Remember I said that was 2 peppers, and here are the rest. And we're going to cook this down until those peppers are a bit soft. Stir all of this around. And I'm going to add now garlic. So here we have some fresh garlic. You want about 2 or 3 cloves. Mash it down and give it a chop. A lot of people do not know anything about the cooking of Abruzzo. Tourists really don't go there. You know, it's surprising that they kind of stick with the big cities. I mean, I can understand why, because they want to see the history and the tradition of those things that they're most familiar about or have heard about. But really, Abruzzo is a gorgeous area. Very simple cooking. The people are very friendly, and their food has not changed much over centuries because they have remained pretty much intact as a regional area where they haven't had a lot of outside influence. Okay, so this is going. Did I give that salt and pepper? I did. And we're going to add 3 bay leaves. Now with bay leaves, you want to leave them whole. I don't care what you're cooking, whether it's soup or stews or whatever, but you always leave them whole in cooking, because if you break them up into pieces, they are very hard, and you could really get something like this stuck in your throat, and that wouldn't be good. So we're going to add them whole, and that's going to flavor this very nicely. And now we need to wait for about 5 minutes before we add the next ingredient. This is smelling really good, and you can see the peppers have cooked down some and have exuded some of their juice. Now it's time to add some wine. So we want about a half a cup of a good white wine. Just going to eyeball that. And we want that to cook down. And while it's cooking down, I want to talk to you about the tomatoes. So here we have plum tomatoes, see? And these are the tomatoes that you really want to use when you're making sauce. Plum tomatoes are meaty, they have low acid, not a lot of seeds. And you find that in the cooking of southern Italy, Abruzzo included, but most of southern Italy, that this is the tomato that is used, the plum tomato. So we have a 28-ounce can of whole plum tomatoes, and we want to really get our hands in there and do what they do in the Abruzzi, which is to just kind of squeeze them by hand. So you got to wear your old clothes for this, because you really don't want to get this all over you. And when I do this, whoops, I think of my grandmother, because she did this a great deal. And what was I doing when she was doing this? I was getting all the canning jars ready in the basement to be sterilized for the tomato sauce that they were going to put up for the summer. So you just want to squeeze those tomatoes until they're kind of like mushy. And with the tomatoes, we want to add some chicken broth or chicken stock. You can make your own. It's real easy. If you don't want to make your own, then just buy chicken broth in your grocery store. We're going to add it right here with the tomatoes. And we're going to give that a quick stir just to blend everything. And now we're going to add this to this over the spoon to prevent splatters. You notice I didn't get anything on me. Mix this well, and we're going to let this cook for about 35 to 45 minutes. This should be thicker than it's looking right now. We have boiling water, to which we have to add salt. Pasta without salt is tasteless. So put a good tablespoon or so in the water. Here is that wonderful pasta alla Chittara, spaghetti alla Chittara. It's going right in. And in the time that it takes to come back to a boil, that is going to be ready to take out. It's going to take maybe about 2 minutes to cook. Now the sauce is nice and thick, and we're going to add it right here to our pasta bowl. Just enough to lightly coat the pasta. If I need more, I'll come back and get it. Now, as you can see, pasta is cooking. It's beautiful. It's cooked. It's ready to come out. We're going to take just a smidge of the water and put it right with the sauce. And now we're going to drain. So get most of that water off. There it goes. And now we want to toss this in this Lamb Ragú. Look, oh, this dish is so Abruzzese, so wonderful with the lamb, the peppers, and I'm going to give that just a little bit more sauce. Not too much, because there should be the right ratio of sauce to pasta. You should be able to see the pasta. And then, when you're ready to serve this, what you want to do is add some pecorino romano, a sheep's milk cheese. So we're going to give this a nice coating of pecorino, and spaghetti alla Chittara Abruzzese is ready. Pasta alla Chittara is a dish that really sings to me. And remember, we made the pasta, the spaghetti alla Chittara, on the guitar, which is an old implement used for making spaghetti in Abruzzi, or Abruzzo, as it's sometimes called. And what did we dress the pasta with? A beautiful lamb ragu, made with lamb, peppers, tomatoes, wine, chicken broth, salt and pepper, and pecorino romano cheese. You have to try it. And until I see you nella cucina again, I'm Mary Ann Esposito. Ciao!